Welcome to the Columbus Metropolitan Club. I'm Lisa Henson, and I'm founder of Henson Limited Public Relations, proud to be a board member for CMC. Today is the second forum in CMC's new Developing a Dynamic Downtown series. This series will continue periodically for the next year, with each program spotlighting key initiatives that are making downtown Columbus a dynamic and a thriving place to live, work, and play. I want to thank the series presenter, who's right down front here, the wonderful Columbus Downtown Development Corporation and Capital South, our series sponsor over here, Thompson Hine, and today's forum sponsors, Schneider Downs, Fahlgren Mortine, and Realm, right over here. So, round of applause. Those people made this possible today. We're fortunate to have very active organizations in this town, so all of you who sponsored today, thank you. So we're also grateful to the Center for Human Kindness at the Columbus Foundation and the Columbus Dispatch for presenting today's live stream, which is being carried on CMC's social media platforms. Thank you as well to Grange Insurance Audubon Center, where we are today, for their ongoing support of CMC. So, everyone, thank you who's been a part of making today happen. So for today's conversation, here we go. Downtown Columbus is being reshaped daily, thanks in part to the vision of developers like Jim Merkel, whose new project, the Junto, is more than just another new downtown hotel. It's intended to be a focal point for the entire Peninsula neighborhood. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go down and check it out. Today, we're excited to hear about how this latest development became a reality and the key role that placemaking plays as downtown Columbus reinvents itself for a next generation. To introduce today's panel and set the stage for our conversation is the wonderful Amy Taylor, with our presenting sponsor, the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation. Amy, it's all you.
Good afternoon. As Lisa mentioned, I'm Amy Taylor with the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation, and we are privileged to be able to partner with CMC on this series about developing a dynamic downtown. A few weeks ago, Jeff Edwards, Janet Eckelman, and Tom Katzenmeyer were sitting right here, and they shared the behind-the-scenes story about the new current sculpture. It's a monumental sculpture over Gay and High Streets, and if you haven't seen it, I absolutely encourage you to do that. Today, we have an equally engaging conversation that's going to be led by Jim Merkel, and to hear about how not just creating, but perhaps even reviving the heartbeat of downtown. Jonathan Swift once said, "Vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others." When I met Jim 5 years ago, his vision and passion were evident from our very first conversation. When we were negotiating the Peninsula deal, Jim kept saying, "Just trust me, Amy. You're not going to be able to see it just yet, but when you do, you're going to believe me." And he was right. 5 years later, it's hard to believe that anything was invisible when you see this wonderful new amenity in our community. CDC and our City of Columbus partners are excited about the recent opening of the Junto on the Peninsula. It's paired with a modern office building that was built by Daimler, along with a top-of-the-line residential with Flaherty and Collins. But the Junto really is the beating heart of this new neighborhood. The site does some of the work. It does have the best views. You're looking back on the Central Business District and the high-rises. It also is surrounded by wonderful new amenities. It's got COSI, it's got the new riverfront with the greenways, it's got the National Veterans Memorial and Museum, and the new City Park in Dorian Green. These are unequaled. But if Jim were a lesser person, that would be the only thing that we would talk about. That would be the full stop about the Junto and the Peninsula. But luckily for us and the community, he's not. He brought a vision, a purpose, and a keen design eye to this fabulous new asset for downtown. Down to the smallest details, the Junto is poised to represent the best of downtown and the best of Columbus. It's fresh, it's urban, it's artistic, it's people-focused, and the Peninsula is set to be the next great neighborhood in our community, due in no small part to this unique hospitality experience. When I show photos to my 14-year-old Audrey, she said immediately, "When are we planning our staycation downtown?" And I think when you see it, you're going to join her. So it is my great pleasure to welcome Jim Merkel. He is the CEO and co-founder of Rockbridge and the founder of Make Ready, and our esteemed host, Eleanor Kennedy, who's the assistant managing editor at Business First. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Amy, for that introduction, and thank all of you for being here. And Jim, I'm excited to talk to you about the Junto.
Thank you, Amy. That was very kind. I'm going to take you on the road with me.
Well, before we dive into, what we're here to talk about today, I want to get a little bit of background on Rockbridge and the work that your firm does. Can you tell me, take me all the way back to when you launched the firm and the initial investments in hotels that can kind of lay the stage for the evolution?
Yeah, so Rockbridge got started in 1999, and I came out of college. I went to a school up north, but I came back, and I'm a Ohio State fan, and a Michigan fan. But I'm a rare person in that regard. But I got the opportunity to come to work for what was then Bank One Capital. And gentlemen Jim Pickett and Ron Callentine had started a hotel chain in the 80s, and Muse, Rinker, Chapman, Anderson, Brooks, this is history, they financed and capitalized that business. And in the 80s, if they were sitting here, they'd tell you they made every mistake in the book. And what happened was that they took that knowledge and they formed a alternative investment group with Bank One that specialized in hospitality, and I got the opportunity to intern with them, and then they offered me a job, and that's how I got into the hotel business, and I was really blessed, and I think this is the case for a lot of people here in this city. And one of the things that makes Columbus great is that it is very welcoming. Somebody told me that they described Columbus as a place where people aren't done making friends. And what that does is it makes things happen. And I got blessed to work with the Muse, Rinker, Chapman, Anderson, Brooks that became Bank One, and then Jim Pickett and Ron Callentine, who were just great teachers and very humble and wicked smart. And I got to learn a lot from them. And if I've done anything in my career, I've just tried to pay attention to the things I'm working on at the time and do it at the best in the best way I can. So that's how I got into the hotel business. And then Bank One, as companies do, they sell, and we were able to spin out and start Rockbridge. And I was 25 and just at the right place at the right time. And Ron Callentine, Steve Denz, and Ken Krebs and I started Rockbridge, and just blessed to have and all three of them are incredible human beings, and set the stage for Rockbridge. And we've built a team of people that work hard. They are humble, and they want to do a great job. They want to. People don't. Nobody wins the Super Bowl by just showing up. And I have a team that I'm blessed to work with that they want to win. They want to play well. They want to do well. They want to do it the right way. And we want to do it at the highest levels. And so we just continue to build on that. And Rockbridge is a little bit weird for development in Columbus for being local, is that we've done everything everywhere else but here. Mm-hmm. And by the nature of a hotel, our guests, by and large, are transient. They're from somewhere else. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to understand, what do people want? What does that traveler want? And depending on the type of trip you have or you're on, you want different things. And what makes it interesting in hospitality is that it's a consumer-facing business, and there's always opportunity to realign assets for what people want. Or in the case of the Peninsula, deliver a product to the market that doesn't exist here that you develop, and as markets move and there's not hotels there or infrastructure, you can bring them to those locations.
Well, I want to follow up on a couple things there, and one of them that you mentioned is that the firm has not really invested in Columbus previously. Why, and why now?
Yeah, so the Columbus, from a hospitality market, has been historically was overbuilt with a lot of large hotels, and one of the things about hotels and the hotel industry is it's capital intensive. And we tell our investors that we're in business for two reasons, and that we're going to continue to be in business because owners love to take money out of properties and not put it back in, and then consumer preferences change. And so as those consumer preferences change and you don't reinvest in it, they no longer become a property that people want to stay in. And when properties are underinvested in, the American consumer, the consumer, worldwide, they want price value. And it doesn't matter. There's people that pay $1,000 a night and find value in what they're getting, and there's people that pay $100 a night and they're pissed off. And so you have to provide the basics. And so for a long time, the properties here weren't getting reinvested in, and so that's all changing right now, and it's changing, and it's we have the new Hilton, which is a really important asset for the city. It's beautiful. Actually, on the Hilton Owner Advisory Council, and they had their meeting here yesterday and today, and they're showing it off. They're showing it off to the top developers around the country, and it's a beautiful convention hotel. There's the DoubleTree is likely to not be a hotel going forward. The Sheraton has 200 rooms out of order and will likely either get a massive reinvestment in it or be converted to another product. And so what that does is, as we bring in new properties and others are getting built, like the Hilton or the AC or the Graduate or the Moxie, as those come in, it transforms the market. There's a tipping point, and that's just one segment. This is just, we're talking hospitality, but the city and everything the CDDC has been doing, it takes a lot of time and infrastructure. I mean, we talked about getting started on the peninsula in 2017, and we're here today and open. And somebody said to me today, it's like, I can't believe how fast the peninsula is coming together. No. This is 40 years in the making, truly 40 years. And so, doing the right thing over time lays the foundation. You can't build a great building or a great city on a shaky foundation, but having a really strong foundation is what enables projects like the Peninsula and the city to have the foresight, and some of our city leaders and private and public in the past that have done that leads to great things and sets the table for what's happening. And Columbus is, maybe you have read a little bit about, you guys are probably on the forefront of everything that's going on in Columbus. Some good stuff is happening here, and people are taking notice. Fastest growing city in the Midwest, and only growing city in Ohio, and that's going to accelerate. And so you're going to see you're going to have that feeling, oh, it just happened over the last 10 years, but it's all about laying the foundation and then making those great things happen. And I do have to give a shout out because they're here, and Amy gave me such a nice introduction. That was very, very kind. But the CDC has worked really hard through ups and downs to really be that true north and guiding light to coordinate 3 developers and make a great project happen and support us along the way, because it's tough to develop. It's tough to make things happen. It's tough to coordinate multiple groups. And so having a team there that does that and has helped us, that's why the property is as good as it is. It has enabled us to be more ambitious with the product and deliver a better property. And I was a history major, actually, which people are surprised by. And I always tell people the actual date in history is the least important and the most uninteresting, actually, of history. It's all the things and the dynamics that were happening in the past that led to what happens in the future. And the story of the peninsula is a really phenomenal story that most cities would die to have on the riverfront 26 acres of developable property, not to mention, I think it's 90 acres in total, not to mention the city assets in COSI and the National Veterans Memorial and the Scioto Mile and the Riverfront Park. It's really special, and people that come in from out of town that were working on this are like, "Wait, holy smokes! You have this palette here, this canvas to paint is very special." And I think everybody that at the CDC and on the development teams are working really well together to try and make it as special and as great and doing the right things going forward as possible.
One thing, I've heard the Junto described as an independent lifestyle hotel. How is that different than a Hilton?
Yeah. So brands, all of the history of hotels are brands were created because 25 years ago you didn't have access to information. You couldn't tell. You didn't have pictures. You couldn't book. You didn't have peer reviews, and so brands were created. And basically, what you think about this, what everybody did was you abdicated your decision making to Marriott or Hilton. You said, okay, Marriott and Hilton is going to provide me this brand. It's going to be consistent, and I know what I'm getting, and I'm going to make that buy decision because it's too risky to do anything else. Well, fast forward to today, and today that's totally different. You have technology, and you literally can get all the information you want to make a decision in the palm of your hand, and you get peer reviews, and you can book, and you can really it's really lowered the risk of going to a new property. And so what that's done is it's kind of unleashed people's innate desire to discover things and to experience something new. And then this next generation, they want to take pictures of everything and share it with their friends. And so things that are new and interesting, they want to go seek. And so this category of hotels called a lifestyle hotel is really, it's got different definitions, but the best way I can describe it, it's trying to create a property that connects with the community, that is part of when you come here, some of the design, like in the Junto is all about the peninsula and Franklinton and Columbus, and the name the Junto comes from, it's named after the Junto club that was a club for mutual improvement that Benjamin Franklin started in 1727, and that's significant, and we got there because Franklinton was named after Benjamin Franklin. I didn't know that. It seems logical, but I didn't know that. It's Franklin County, but it was named after Benjamin Franklin. And so when we were thinking of the property we were doing there, that we were going to be the hub of the peninsula and bring the heart and soul to the neighborhood, it would be a gathering place. It would bring people together, and that's what the Junto did in 1727. It brought people from all walks of life, politicians to businessmen to teachers and philosophers together to try and make society better. And so we love that, and that's what the Junto is about. And so we have a lot of things about innovation we have a library there that has books on innovation, books on Benjamin Franklin, books on Columbus and Ohio. And so it's a place to explore and learn about the neighborhood. And that's what people want. That's what, lifestyle hotels are designed to make you feel like you're a part of the community.
Well, and I think that relates to this other idea we've mentioned a few times of placemaking. And obviously branding is so important to any hospitality venture. What makes Rockbridge's approach at the Junto unique, and how do you view placemaking and creating that feeling?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a place where people want to be. It's really not, sometimes we make things more complicated than it is. So what do people want? And people want to feel like they want to have a more residential feel. So it has a more residential feel that creates a sense of place, the tie to the history in the neighborhood. That creates a sense of place. The restaurants that in the coffee shop, the coffee shop is an independent coffee shop that we created called Maudine's. Maudine was the 1926 homecoming queen of Ohio State, and the significance of that is that it's a Holstein cow, which we thought was kind of funny and fun, but it tells a little bit of the story in a fun way, and you have to pay extra for milk at our coffee shop.
You actually picked that as Joshua in a Michigan dig.
Yeah. So doing things, and then we have about 8,000 feet of rentable space that is in and around the property. That's mostly off of our alley. We created a Little West Alley that connects the office building to the apartments and dissects the block that we're on. But we'll have activations there. The coffee shop's there. We have a poutine window there, and then we have this lease space. And we've intentionally, and I think placemaking is all about intention. We've intentionally not leased the space because we know that when this is up and running and we've got the heart beating, that we will be able to be more intentional about the things that complement our environment there and complement the neighborhood, at that site. And so we'll be really thoughtful and intentional about the tenancy there. It's not just about, lease it as fast as you can. We bake in time to be able to do it the right way so that we create long-term value. And that's what we intend to do there. And I think what good placemaking does is it creates really long-term value.
What is your personal favorite element of the hotel?
I think right now, because our restaurant, our rooftop, will be opening in the next couple weeks. I mean, they're going to be great. The rooftop and the view is amazing, and then the what we call our trade room, which has a bar and a fireplace and feels like your living room, and it's where you can come have breakfast. We'll have breakfast in the trade room, and it'll be a really comfortable, really good food there, and you all can have your morning meetings there and come over. So those are all great, but to kind of behind the scenes, what I'm really excited about is seeing how the building operates. What we've done is take all the best elements of the projects that we've done in other cities and are bringing it to this project and trying to make it the best version of itself. So the adjacencies, where we put the kitchen, and being able to do breakfast in the trade room and not interrupting the restaurant experience at all by having to serve breakfast in the restaurant. So we'll have it's Little West Tavern. We'll have a lunch and dinner. It'll be a place you could go 2 to 3 days a week. Really good food in a casual, comfortable environment. But we're not going to serve breakfast in there. But we're going to serve it in the trade room. And the way we've designed it, it's going to be able to operate efficiently that way and create a great experience. And so the adjacencies of the building, seeing the building operate, then will, that's kind of a dorky answer, but.
I know, I was going to say, it's very hip, very hip, Instagrammable efficiencies.
But that is, you can't Instagram that, but there's plenty to Instagram. And I was telling people earlier that, we are focused on all the details. The whole Make Ready name, the name Make Ready. In 2016, when we started, we started really investing in independent hotels in 2010, and we own a couple management companies, and we ended up starting Make Ready and founding Make Ready to run our independent hotels, and because it's a lot harder to do. And the whole term Make Ready, if you are familiar with the printing business, the printmakers would use the same piece of paper to go through the print machine to make sure they got it all aligned right, so then they could fire off 1,000 of them. And that piece of paper that goes through it is called a Make Ready. And the idea is that we're doing all the focus behind the scenes and the details behind the scenes so that we can make the perfect impression for the guest that you don't see. And so that is a little bit about the details, is that we're focused on the details, but when we all look out and the whole team looks out and widens the aperture, it really looks great. It feels great. The second you arrive, you feel like you've arrived to a different place. It's not like anything else that's here. And I'd like to tell you that this is not been ever been done before. It has been done. We're just trying to do it better and bring it here. It's not here in this market. And I think when you walk in the front door, you will notice a big difference. People in Columbus today use hotels to sleep and go to a destination. This is 60% plus of our business will be local business in our restaurants, bars, and coffee shops. You will feel a difference when you arrive here, and people will stay in this hotel for the product and then go to their destination, whereas the other hotels are about the location alone. It's designed to be about the product, and I think until we do other things here, it'll be the only one that's here for a while that is like that.
I want to follow up on that, but the title of this program, we're talking about downtowns beating heart, but I think you can correct me as a much longer Columbus resident than I think it's a little bit, the other side of the river has not necessarily been thought of as downtown. Can you talk about how the peninsula is going to function as a neighborhood kind of in relation to the broader downtown area? Or are they going to be in competition a little bit?
No, I think it's complementary. I think all downtowns, we're very much a both and. This is a time in our city where everybody's got to come together and help everybody be successful. We're in a growing city. We have the opportunity to lead and take things to another level. And I think we all should benefit from that. And I think that's really, really important. And so I think it's absolutely complementary. It's not in competition. There's an opportunity downtown which is being worked on. Every neighborhood is getting worked on in some way that makes the whole better. And there are things going on downtown that are going to make the downtown better. We look at that as complementary to everything that we do. This is, we are blessed to live in a great city with great people. And people are moving here, and when they move here or they come here, they are really pleasantly surprised. They really enjoy the people. They really enjoy the city, and I think that's really important for us to attract the top talent from around the country that are going to fuel all these jobs that are coming here. They are coming, and more will come, and so we, we're working hard. Lots of other people are working hard to try and meet the need of where, the puck's going, not where it is today.
Well, one of the other projects in another part of downtown your firm is involved with is the Merchant Building.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about what kind of product we can expect from Rockbridge there?
Yeah, so we talked about the Junto is a lifestyle hotel. We're the only city of our competitive cities, and that would be Nashville, Austin, Indianapolis, Charlotte, Minneapolis, that have 0 luxury hotel rooms. There's 0 luxury hotel rooms in Columbus, and so that's obviously a segment that has not been addressed. And the important thing also to know is that in 2016, the Democratic National Convention, we were down to one of 3 finalists. The reason that it didn't come here is that we didn't have any luxury hotel rooms. And so in these national conventions, you have to have that segment to complement the people that are coming and to attract the conventions and the groups that spend the most money. And so of all those cities that I mentioned, they all have 1,000 luxury hotel rooms or more, and we have 0. And so what we're bringing to the table in collaboration with, it's a public-private partnership. We got the state, the city, and the county, and the North Market Development Board all working together, and we've synced that up. It's taken a long time, but that's it's going to produce the first luxury hotel in mixed use. It's going to have luxury residential and luxury hotel, workforce housing in it. It's going to have a little bit of office. It's going to have parking, and it's going to expand the North Market. So, and we got involved and excited in that project for a couple of reasons. I mean, everybody I talked to has a experience with the North Market, and it literally clothed and fed a growing city. It's one of 4 longest-running public markets in the country. It's known, and it's one of our city's iconic assets. People that travel, people that come here, they go there. People are trying to replicate this in a private way, these food halls in a private way around the country, but we have an authentic, historically significant market in our downtown, and the goal of this project and why the city and the North Market went out to RFP with it was that the goal of this project is, what can we do on this site that can make the North Market independently, financially stable in perpetuity? And when we got involved, the hotel is an incredibly important part of that, because what you have with a hotel is we're selling the city and we're selling the destination. And when whether, this has been I guess I'm on a stump here. I got a microphone in my hand. I've been sharing this with as many people as I can, and certainly all the people that are working for the city, is that whether we like it or not, people's experience when they come here is part of how their stay goes, and their experience there gives an impression for the city of our guests. So it is our front door, and so we're going to bring the first 5-star luxury hotel, high-rise residence, in what is around already an incredible part of the infrastructure of the city, with High Street obviously the north-south artery of our city to Ohio State, to the CBD, to all the surrounding neighborhoods, access to 670, the arena, the convention. It's just a great location. And that will be complementary to the peninsula. It'll be complementary to the city or county's investment in the Hilton. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to lead the way and tick up everybody's view of the horizon from a hospitality standpoint, that there is a lot of opportunity here. And when we do that, we hope that it attracts outside investors. There aren't outside groups like us coming to Columbus and doing ambitious things. But the same thing was happening when we did our project in Nashville in 2012. The same thing hadn't happened there yet. And in the last 10 years, Nashville has 15 luxury properties amongst many other properties, and it is a vibrant destination.
Yeah, we're going to get a Four Seasons here? That just opened. I
Maybe.
moved here from Nashville, so.
Maybe.
We'll move to questions from our live stream and in-person audiences in just a few minutes. So if you have a question, please make your way to the microphone now. If you're watching online, please type your questions into the chat. Before we take audience questions, I have one final question for you, Jim.
Yes.
Which is in my very technical business reporter language. The economy's like kind of weird right now.
Yeah, I love that.
How are you feeling about, especially with respect to the merchant building project, you're kind of just getting going on in earnest here now. Just what is your economic outlook right now and your level of optimism, pessimism, and how you're making decisions?
Well, I'm an optimist. I believe that we are better. Everything's going to be better in the future, and it's up to us. Doesn't mean we don't have problems. We got plenty of problems, but they don't get solved by not being optimistic. And I think that as you see history and you look at history, I often say, don't judge me at any one point in time, judge me over time, because I'm making mistakes all the time, but we're moving forward. We're making progress. And so I'm very bullish on, on the overall opportunity long term. That doesn't mean I can't control whether there's a recession or not, or how that impacts our business. But what I can control is I can control being well capitalized. I can control having the best people. I can control putting the best processes in place. And so those are the things that we focus on to deliver a great experience, and the belief that things will be better in the future. And if you look at history with hotels specifically, it's a growth industry. There are more people staying in hotels than ever before right now in any time in our history, and there's more revenues coming out. So that is a growth industry, and so what our view is that if we do a good job and we put the best product and people together, that we're gonna win over time.
Well, thank you. And as you know, it's CMC's longstanding tradition to take audience questions. Doug Buchanan with CMC is curating questions from today's live stream audience. For those of you with us in person, please join Doug at the microphone. Out of respect for others, please keep your questions brief and to the point so we can get to as many as possible. We don't have a hook or a gong, but if your question turns into a speech, we might look for one. Please also keep in mind the questions end with a question mark. So Doug, what is our first question?
Eleanor, thank you. Thank you very much. And Jim, thank you very much. Great conversation. First question to kick us off, and we'll alternate questions from the live stream and with questions from the in-room audience. Jim, what is the biggest mistake that city planners, or developers for that matter, tend to make when envisioning the future? Please feel free to name names.
Well, I'm not very political, but I'm not going to name names. I think the biggest thing always is just thinking big enough and thinking long-term enough, and then building the trust amongst the city and the private sector. Look, we have to work together to get there, and if we have trust, any foundational relationship is built on trust, and then, our goal is just thinking big and understanding that sometimes getting to where you need to go is just not a straight line. It's a matrix of things that have to happen, and so we've got to work on. There's not one silver bullet to make things great in the future. We got to work together and really all move in the same direction. And then you hit the tipping point, and then things accelerate. And things that took, like the peninsula, that took literally 40 years to get our riverfront and get that redeveloped. Now things will accelerate in our downtown as a result of all the foundation building. And so if we can work together and accelerate things that are good for the city long term, then then we'll be winning.
Hi, I'm Trent Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the Franklinton Board of Trade. We also operate the Franklinton Special Improvement District. And Franklinton was founded in 1797, and originally the land that we're talking about on the peninsula is part of Franklinton. And we have done a lot of placemaking work in Franklinton for the past 25 plus years with fantastic results. And we are just a couple hundred yards away, walk away from the Peninsula project. And I'd just like to hear your comments about what impact, what catalytic effect did the work in Franklinton have on making the Peninsula a desirable place to develop at this point in time?
Yeah, great question. I think it is a big part of it, and it's it's been a lot of the creative community has been over there. The things that you have done to bring people into Franklinton, the work at Gravity, the different cultural elements. That's what makes a city cool, and where people want to go. And so we love being. I don't know by whose definition, but we're either in it or adjacent to it. But we think of us all as one, even with the city downtown. We want to bring people together. The Junto is about bringing people together. We want to bring people together, and I think preserve what is great about Franklinton. And I think working together and building trust to preserve what is great about Franklinton is really important to us, and I think important to a lot of people that are working in and around Franklinton. And it's a special part of our special part of our city. And the nice thing about all the neighborhoods that are around downtown is they provide something a little bit different. They provide a little bit different experience, and so I think what's nice is that they are different, and it is attractive to different people and different businesses for different reasons. And when we can provide all those things in and around the center of our city, like we are, we're gonna all win, and we're all gonna do better, and that's our goal. And so I think communication. We're excited to be in the neighborhood, so I always love to hear any thoughts and how we can work together. Our teams are already working together with different groups in your neighborhood. So I think it's really important, and I think everybody here is benefiting from it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. From the online live stream audience, Steve Reynolds asks, what, if anything, is missing from downtown or central Ohio in general to keep us from moving to the next level as a region beyond the luxury lodging that you mentioned previously?
Yeah, and some of last week you had Jeff Edwards and Janet Eckelman here and doing the public art, and what I think is important as part of the fabric of Columbus is to continue to focus on the cultural elements and making Columbus a great place to live and interesting to a lot of different people. And there are a lot of things happening on that front. And one of the cool things that we get visibility in is that when we open a hotel in a market, we really try to build deep relationships and come in and collaborate. And we bring people from other other cities that work in our hotels to Columbus to do training and to spend time here. And the people that are coming here from the Nashvilles and the Denvers and the Charlestons and Dallas, they're coming here, and they are blown away about the things that are here from a cultural standpoint, that it's a cool city, but they don't know about it. And so this woman who works in our front office, who's in her mid-30s, and she's very dialed in. Just she's cool. She's a tastemaker, in my opinion, and just an interesting person. Has a lot of different interests, and she never been to Columbus before. And she pulled me aside after being here 10 days, and she said, "Jimmy, I got to tell you, like, Columbus is amazing. I've just had an amazing time. I've just walked around the neighborhoods, walked around Franklinton, walked around the downtown, and the things that we have here, it's undiscovered." And so I think more of that will make Columbus more of a destination. Again, what we do in hotels, I think, is the same thing a city should do, is we're trying to create a place where people want to be. And that doesn't just mean one dimension. It means multiple dimensions. And what might not be interesting to me personally doesn't mean it's not important. It is important. And being a multidimensional city and a culturally relevant city, and those are the things that are going to make Columbus a great place to live. And what I would say, and what we're trying to do in our small way, is try and help advance that, both from a business standpoint, but also personally.
Good afternoon, Jim. Vance Steele with Middlefield Bank. I'm a native Clevelander, but have been in Columbus for 25 years, and for many years I thought of Cleveland as the city. In Ohio, it's been pretty clear for a while that Columbus actually is the city. How would you say that the development and economic outlook for Columbus has had an impact, or is having an impact, on some of the other metropolitan areas in Ohio at large?
Yeah, great question. I'm a believer that you've got to lead, and when you lead, then people pay attention, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, look what's happening in Columbus." The things that are happening in Columbus are making Cleveland and Cincinnati and other cities better, because they've got to step up their game too if there's something that's happening here that's not happening there. And so I do think that you've got to lead, and when you lead, everybody gets to see what's possible, and then do bigger and better things. So I don't have a statistical response for you, but what I would say is I just think that if we collaborate as communities, then we're gonna win, and we do things in other cities as well, and they've got things going on in Cleveland that are great, and same with Cincinnati. Now they've whatever's holding them back and why we're prospering here in Central Ohio, they can at least look to it and adjust behavior. It's what we do as a private business. When things aren't working or people aren't happy, we have to adjust, and that's what we say. We have to judge us over time, not at any one point in time, because we make mistakes, and then we adjust and move forward. But I think if Central Ohio is really strong, it has to help the rest of the state.
Jim, thank you. Question: We seem to see young people. We seem to see young people more downtown, and empty nesters too. But many people with young children often move out of the city. What would it take to get more of this missing middle to stay planted in downtown Columbus?
That's a great question. I think that people are, living in a more urban lifestyle, more so than they have in the past. one of the things that's great about Columbus is that we have, really great suburbs here that people live in, and where you can get a yard and raise a family. And so I think that my answer to that would be, I don't really know, other than the more we have people moving here and coming here from larger cities that are accustomed to living in an urban environment, the more people that will desire to live in our downtown neighborhoods. And I know schooling is a really important factor to that. So we have to have schooling and childcare options for people in the downtown neighborhoods that are convenient and easy, that would have a significant impact on people's comfortability of living downtown with small children.
Yeah, as a member of the missing middle, I would say toddler-friendly homes for $300,000.
Yeah.
If anybody could do that, I'd be happy to move back to downtown.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Amanda Sage, and I am a marketing consultant. And my question is, redevelopment and gentrification is great for all the reasons you've talked about for the last hour, but there's also the negative side of what happens to the people who lived in the area that has been redeveloped. And so how do you feel that you and other developers have addressed that situation to the rather large population of Franklinton, and how you hope to consider them as you continue to develop?
Yeah. So, I'm new to the downtown neighborhood and this issue. Where the peninsula was, there was not any housing there, but I think housing is a really, really important issue, and displacement, I think it's on people's minds, and so we have to be really thoughtful about it. The city is focused on workforce housing and making sure that people can afford to live in these neighborhoods. But so I think it's really hard to make everybody happy all the time in every instance. But the important thing is that we're all listening and making sure that we're doing it better than anybody else. So I think that's how I would answer that question. I think it's very micro to the specific situation and how to address that issue if there is displacement and negative things that are happening because of a particular project. It has to be sensitive to that.
Thank you. I think we have about 60 seconds left. So quick question then. Columbus is filled with up-and-coming entrepreneurs. What is your advice to them?
Well, I think that to roll up your sleeves. I mean, I think there's somebody told me your best ability is availability, and I agree with that very, very much. Is that you got to roll up your sleeves and make it happen, and that's how we built Rockbridge. And the things that we're doing at Rockbridge, if we had even attempted to do these 15 years ago, it would have been really foolish. But we rolled up our sleeves, and every step of the way, we're making things happen, getting better. And the reality of entrepreneurs is that the entrepreneur fails 3 times before they hit, and so you just really need to have a lot of resilience and roll up your sleeves and learn every step of the way. I make mistakes all the time, and I think the best the best that I can do is I can't change the past, but I can change the future. And so I focus on learning from the things that I've done and the experiences that we have to try and affect the future in a better way. And I think that's the entrepreneur's way, is finding the path, but you got to learn along the way and not make the same mistakes twice.
Well, I do wish we had more time, but it is now time to turn it over to Lisa Henson for concluding remarks.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, Eleanor.
Thank you, Lisa.
It strikes me in listening to you today that CMC and the Junto have a lot in common, both bringing people together for mutual improvement. So this was a good alignment of missions today. And Eleanor, if you ask me my favorite part of the hotel, it's the gear garage where you can get a kayak, you can get a scooter, you can get a skateboard. What else, Jimmy? Polaroid cameras, the whole deal.
Record player.
Yeah.
You know, the scooters, but they have a ball of bags for your kids to go play soccer, spike ball in the park, lots of things.
So it's fun. You should all get a chance to go down there and pop in and check it out. Okay, so we once again thank our series presenter, the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation and Capital South, our series sponsor, Thompson Hine, and today's forum sponsors, Schneider Downs, Falgren Martine, and Realm. Thank you very much. And thank you to our virtual seat patrons and to the Center for Human Kindness and the Columbus Foundation and the Columbus Dispatch for supporting today's live stream. Everyone, thank you so much for coming today. Jimmy, Eleanor, thank you for being here today and participating in the conversation. Everybody have a great day. Thanks for being here.